Hey guys, I'm going to share something with you. It's a clip from Bob that I think is so special. You know, these events that we do and all the material you see on our YouTube channel and the ones that are public, it's all really good, but you know, a lot of it is very surface level. Like we don't go in as deep as we normally go like we do in our programs. And this is a clip actually from, it was one of my favorite events that we did. It was something called the 3%. And it was a very small group setting, you know, 15, 20 people. And it wasn't just great teachings from Bob. What I loved about it, it's where we got to really work on you as an individual. Like when I'm working with my clients, when I'm coaching clients, I have a chance to ask questions so that I can help point out some of the blind spots that we don't see, and we all have them. But pay very close attention to the very end of this clip, because I think this is one of the hardest things for most people is, you know, getting clear on what you want is one step, but turning it into a burning desire, I mean, that's the key to all this. And Bob is going to touch on that at the very end of the clip. You know, if you guys have any questions or, you know, if you're interested in learning more about the programs and how we can help you at a much deeper level, I'll put a link to my calendar on here. You know, otherwise, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out. You know, otherwise, enjoy the clip. Take care.
If you're letting somebody else's opinion of you control your life, don't blame them. You got to take a real serious look at you. If you think a condition or circumstance is controlling you, you're toast. You're never going to go anywhere because you don't have the ability to change conditions and circumstance. You only have your ability to change your perception of them. What do you want to do? Now, if you want to go on blaming someone else or something else, you don't deserve any more than you're getting. That's just the way it is. So don't whine about it. Don't cry about it. Stand up and fight for what you believe. Say, this is where I'm going. You got to shift your conditioned way of looking at life. And if you don't shift your conditioned way of looking at life, you're never going to make it happen. See, you're going to say, look it, that's what I want. You're right there. Now, there's a difference between wishing for something and just making a decision and making a committed decision. When you make a committed decision that that's where you're going, you do it regardless. It doesn't matter about all the reasons why you can't. None of those things matter. Now, if you just make a decision, you'll do it if it's convenient. You'll do it if it doesn't cause too much chaos. You'll do it if it's easy. That won't fly. You're going to make a committed decision. Now, the second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto a higher frequency, and instantly you start to attract the thoughts and the things that you need for the manifestation of the idea. It starts happening so fast, it's rather crazy. Now let's listen again. Analysis of several hundred people who had accumulated fortunes well beyond the $1 million mark disclosed the fact that every one of them had the habit of reaching decisions promptly and of changing those decisions slowly, if and when they were changed at all. How did they do this? That puzzled me for years. Why did they make the decisions so fast? What the hell did they have in common? And so I started doing a little research, and I thought they're going to be really smart. Some of them weren't very smart at all. It had nothing to do with being smart. Some of them must have been extremely well educated. Some of them had never been to school. Some of them were functionally illiterate. They could neither read nor write. What did they have going? They had an innate awareness. If they wanted it, that was the only prerequisite. That's all you had to do is just want. Where does want come from? Want comes from the spiritual essence of who you are. There is perfection within you. Your spiritual DNA is perfect. That perfection is always seeking expression within through you. Spirit's always for expansion and fuller expression. It's never for disintegration. Never. And it should never be suppressed. Suppression causes all kinds of problems. Suppression turns into anxiety. Anxiety turns into God knows what, disease. Away we go. Okay? Now keep thinking. Keep thinking. They wanted it. Now, I know, because of the number of years I've studied this, most of them could not explain what I'm explaining to you. I mean, I consider some real brilliant ones. They could not explain what I'm explaining to you. They never studied it. They just had an innate awareness. And they're the people I call unconscious competents. They're very competent, but they're not consciously aware of why. Now, if you're very competent, but you're not consciously aware of why, do you know what you've got? You've got a problem. You cannot transfer that to anybody else. So it'll look like there have been an emotional or capricious God that reached out and just blessed you and left the rest of them to swim. That's what it looks like. Or that you're lucky. It has nothing to do with luck. Voltaire said, luck is a word we invented to express the known effects of unknown causes. When something happens we don't understand, they're lucky. It's either good or bad luck. There's no such thing. There's only the law. That's all there is. Okay? These people wanted it. And they knew that if they made the decision, they would figure out how to get it. It had nothing, they didn't have the money, they didn't have the way, they didn't have the knowledge, they didn't have any, but they knew they would attract it. Now what happens when they do that? Well, when they make the decision, what they've done is they've taken the idea in the conscious mind. That's where wants surfaces. Wants are in the conscious mind, and they've turned it over to the innate, to the subconscious mind. And when they turn it over to the subconscious mind, that's when it turned into a desire. Hold on a minute. Okay. Now look. These people didn't have the results they needed. They looked at them. They haven't got the money. They don't have the way. The results would indicate that they would never be able to do what they want to do. But they didn't let that stop them. They looked at the results. They didn't ignore their results. And they realized that they had a memory. They don't have to keep going back there and look. The memory, they know what the results are like. They know how much this has started to manifest or not manifest yet. And they know that memory is just one of their higher faculties. They've got all these higher faculties. And so they use that. Then they use their imagination to get what they do want. How do they do that? Well, they start to see themselves with it. They wanted it, so they begin now, and they build the picture of the dream. They consciously see themselves with it. I've got it. I'm doing what I want. I'm making it happen. I've got it. And then, what do? They did what Solomon said. It's not as a person thinketh, Wayne. It's as a person thinketh in your heart. So they have to plant that idea in their heart. And they get emotionally involved with the want. Is it a desire? No, it's still a want. Desire is the effort of the unexpressed possibility within, seeking expression through your action. But you've got to give it the juice. You've got to feed it. If you don't feed it, it isn't going to grow. So you've got to see it, and you've got to mentally be there. And as you keep doing that, you're going to find that want starts to change in its nature, and it becomes a desire. And that's cooking. That's cooking underneath, baby. It's inside. And that is really getting you jazzed, because that's changing the vibration that this body's in. And when the body changes the vibration it's in, and the conscious, the subconscious, and the body, everything, you're going to find the outside world starts to change. And it moves into form. Seek ye first this kingdom of expansion, and all these things will be given to you. Where do they come from? Well, they come from the only place it can come from, the source of supply.